This is Tom Fox. I'd like to welcome you to the Compliance Week 2022 podcast series. Compliance Week is thrilled to be back 100% live and in person after 3 years apart. Back for its 17th year at Compliance Week National 2022, compliance, ethics, legal, and audit professionals will gain insights and make connections at the industry's premier cross-industry national compliance event, offering knowledge-packed, accredited sessions and take-home advice from the most influential leaders in the compliance community. In this podcast series, we will detail some of the speakers and what they will be discussing at the event and why they're attending Compliance Week 2022. I hope you will join me in attending this conference, and particularly this year when it's literally the first major compliance conference which will be held live since the pandemic began. We link to the conference in the show notes, and listeners to this podcast get a special discount, which is also listed in the show notes. I hope to see you in May at Compliance Week 2022. This is Tom Fox again. In this podcast, I visit with Ellen Hunt. Ellen is with Spark Consulting, and she's got a couple of different panels that she's going to speak on at Compliance Week 2022. One is on women and their compliance careers. The second one on behavioral aspects of compliance. I know you'll enjoy this podcast. Hello, everyone. This is Tom Fox back for another episode. And today I have not one of my favorite people in compliance, one of my favorite people, period, Ellen Hunt. Ellen, it's great to be back with you, even if it's virtual, and I'm greatly looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. So first of all, welcome, and thank you so much for taking the time to visit with me today.
Oh, my pleasure, Tom, and you're one of my favorite people for sure.
So Ellen, could you tell us what your current role is?
Sure. I am principal advisor and consultant with Spark Consultant Compliance. So I'm thrilled to be doing consulting with great compliance and ethics professionals.
So Ellen, you have a couple of different roles at Compliance Week 2022. The first is you are on a panel moderated by Asha Palmer entitled Introducing Interactivity and Behavioral Science to Your Compliance and Ethics Program. And then you're in or on a panel that is a brunch called Women in Compliance Brunch and Learn, moderated by Mary Shirley. I was wondering if you could either give us a teaser of those two different presentations, or what do you hope to bring to the discussion?
Yeah. Well, thanks, Tom. The teaser or the little taste for the brunch is, I think, for a lot of us as ethics and compliance professionals, particularly women, we don't think about our careers strategically. And we need to do that because we often don't negotiate for ourselves. We have a tendency to be people pleasers and say yes to everything, which may not be always the best for our careers. And we don't always think about what's next for us. So I think it's going to be a really insightful and exciting panel. And I'm just thrilled to be there in person with everybody to talk about that. And the other panel on interactivity and behavioral science, Tom, when you really think about it, we have really evolved from telling people the rules and expecting them just to follow them to understanding that you have to create processes and structures that nudge or even push people towards the right behavior. And at the end of the day, that's really what you want from an ethics and compliance perspective, is to let people have all of the support and the ability to make the right choice and do the right thing.
Ellen, my favorite question in this podcast series has been the following, and our audience is listening to this in audio format, not video, so they can't see the smiles on both of our faces. But why are you so excited about Compliance Week 2022 this year?
Well, being in person and seeing some of my dear old friends and hopefully meeting a whole bunch of new ones. Just the energy and the excitement of being together and face to face is just a wonderful experience after we have all been spending quite a bit of time inside and isolated. So I'm just really thrilled about that. I'm also just really thrilled that Compliance Week has been very thoughtful about how they're putting this conference together. Lots of safety precautions. And as always, it's one of these conferences that I have always found to be really beneficial because of the way that they organize the panels, the special groups, the smaller talking sessions. So I'm really excited to get back to DC in more than 2 years and see people.
Well, Ellen, I'm greatly looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks, and I hope our listeners will plan to join both of us at Compliance Week 2022. Thanks so much for taking the time to visit with me.
Thank you, Tom.
This is Tom Fox again. Hope you'll plan to join me at Compliance Week 2022. Registration information is found in the show notes, and of course, there's a discount code for listeners to this podcast that I've listed in the show notes as well. It's going to be a great conference. We're all going to be able to get together in a full conference for the first time since the pandemic began. I hope you will plan to join me and all of your fellow compliance professionals at Compliance Week 2022.